Space twisted in ways it should not. The sensors screamed warnings across every Imperial patrol ship within 3 sectors. Something impossible was happening near the border of claimed territory. Lieutenant Ryla checked her displays twice, then a third time. The readings made no sense. Space itself was folding, but not in any pattern the Empire had ever documented. No jump gate activated. No warp signature appeared. No dimensional rift opened. Yet something massive was forcing its way into normal space through methods completely unknown. "Get me Admiral Torvin," she said, her voice tight. "Right now." Within minutes, 6 Imperial warships changed course. They moved toward the anomaly with weapons ready but shields at maximum. The Empire had explored the galaxy for 3,000 years. They knew every species, every technology, every method of faster-than-light travel. This was none of them. Admiral Torvin stood in his command chamber, watching the data streams with growing concern. His scales shifted from calm blue to alert yellow. In 4 decades of service, he had never seen spatial distortion like this. The readings suggested something was literally tearing through the fabric of space-time, but the energy requirements would be astronomical. Impossible, even. "Distance?" he asked. 2 million kilometers and closing, Admiral. Whatever it is, it's big. Mass readings suggest a vessel at least 800 meters long." Torvin's tail twitched. That was dreadnought size. The Empire had protocols for this. Unknown vessels received 1 chance to identify themselves. After that, protection of Imperial space took priority over curiosity. The distortion peaked. Reality rippled like water. Then, with a flash that temporarily blinded every sensor, something emerged. The ship hung in space like a predator. Its design was wrong in ways Torvin couldn't immediately identify. Imperial ships were elegant, following mathematical principles refined over millennia. This vessel looked brutal and practical, angular where it should curve, armored where it should be sleek. Every surface seemed designed for function rather than form. "Scan it," Torvin ordered. The sensor officer worked his controls, then stopped. "Admiral, the hull composition is unknown. The power signature doesn't match any reactor type in our database. I'm detecting energy flows, but I can't identify the source. And sir, there are weapons ports, but I have no idea what kind of weapons they carry. Try standard first contact protocols, all frequencies." The communication officer broadcast greetings in 73 languages. The unknown ship remained silent. It didn't move. It didn't power weapons. It just sat there, and somehow that was more unsettling than aggression would have been. "Sir, they're scanning us," the sensor officer reported. "Active sensor sweeps across all our ships, very thorough, very precise. They're learning everything about us." Torvin made a decision. He opened a general channel himself. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Imperial space without authorization. Identify yourself immediately or be considered hostile." For 30 seconds, nothing happened. Then every screen in every Imperial ship flickered. The translation matrix went wild trying to process incoming data. Finally, a voice came through. It spoke in words the translators barely recognized, using grammatical structures that seemed needlessly complex. "This is Captain Rebecca Walsh of the United Earth Ship Defiance. We mean no harm. We are far from home and request temporary assistance." The translator worked overtime, converting the alien sounds into something understandable. Torvin noticed the voice carried stress markers his people associated with truth-telling, but he also noticed the careful word choice. Not lost, not stranded, just far from home. "Earth," Torvin said, "we have no record of your world or your species. How did you enter our space?" There was a pause. When the human captain spoke again, Torvin detected what his people called the sound of chosen honesty. The truth, but not all of it. "We were testing a new propulsion system. Something went wrong. The drive malfunctioned and brought us here. We have no maps, no star charts that match what we're seeing. We need help determining our location and finding our way home. Torvin studied the displayed image of the human ship. If this was a propulsion malfunction, what did their successful technology look like? And more importantly, who builds a test vessel with that much armor and that many weapon systems? Captain Walsh, I am Admiral Torvin of the Imperial Fleet. Before we can offer assistance, we need to verify your intentions. Will you allow us to approach? Another pause. Torvin imagined the human captain consulting with her crew, weighing options, calculating risks. He knew that feeling well. You may approach, Admiral, but I must inform you that my ship's defensive systems are automated. Any hostile action will trigger a response I cannot control. I strongly advise peaceful intentions. Torvin's scales shifted to a deeper yellow. That was both a warning and valuable intelligence. Automated defenses meant the humans didn't need crew at weapon stations. It suggested either advanced artificial intelligence or remarkable trust in their technology. Neither option was reassuring. Understood, Captain. We will approach with all weapons secured. I suggest we meet face to face. Diplomacy works better when we can see each other. Agreed, the human said. I'll prepare a shuttle coordinates. I'll transmit them now. Welcome to Imperial Space, Captain Walsh. I hope this encounter proves beneficial for both our peoples. As the channel closed, Torvin turned to his officers. Battle-ready status, but keep it subtle. I want to know everything about that ship before their captain boards mine. And get me the council. They need to know we just made first contact with a species we've never heard of, using technology we can't identify, in a ship that might be able to destroy our entire fleet. The sensor officer looked up from his station. Admiral, there's something else. I'm detecting life signs aboard their vessel. Preliminary scans suggest they come from a high-gravity world. Denser bone structure, more efficient organs, stronger muscles. If they come from where I think they come from based on these readings, their planet shouldn't support complex life at all. Torvin stared at the human ship. Suddenly, the heavy armor and brutal design made terrible sense. These weren't explorers who built weapons. They were survivors who had learned to thrive in conditions that would kill most galactic species. And now they were here, lost and far from home, in the heart of Imperial space. This was either going to be the beginning of a beautiful friendship, or the start of the Empire's worst nightmare. The shuttle was small and purely functional, no decorative elements, no artistic touches, just clean lines and obvious durability. Admiral Torvin watched it dock with his flagship, noting how precisely the pilot handled the craft. Whoever these humans were, they knew their way around spacecraft. The airlock cycled. Torvin stood ready with an honor guard of 6 soldiers. When the door opened, he got his first look at humanity. Captain Rebecca Walsh was shorter than expected, but she moved with the confidence of someone used to command. Her uniform was dark blue with simple insignia. No medals, no decorations. Behind her stood 2 crew members, one male and one female, both carrying themselves like trained soldiers despite their relaxed postures. What struck Torvin immediately was their eyes. Predator eyes. Forward-facing, designed for tracking movement and judging distance. Every peaceful species in the Empire had eyes on the sides of their heads. Only hunters needed the depth perception that came from front-mounted vision. Admiral Torvin, Rebecca said, extending her hand in what he recognized from the cultural database as a greeting gesture. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Torvin touched his chest with both hands, the imperial greeting. Rebecca quickly adapted, copying the gesture. Another point of intelligence. These humans learned fast. Captain Walsh, welcome aboard the Eternal Glory. I hope we can resolve your situation quickly and peacefully. They walked together toward the conference room. Torvin noticed how the humans studied everything they passed. Not obviously, but their eyes tracked details, noted exits, measured distances. Combat awareness that came from instinct rather than training. Your ship is impressive, Rebecca said. We've never seen bioluminescent hull plating before. Does it serve a function or is it decorative? Both, Torvin admitted. It helps with identification and status communication between vessels. Your ship is quite impressive as well, though I admit, the design is unlike anything in our databases. Rebecca smiled. It showed teeth. Torvin tried not to react, but showing teeth was a threat display among most species. He had to remind himself that humans might use different social cues. We build for durability, she said. Space is dangerous where we come from. They entered the conference room. Torvin had arranged for refreshments suitable for carbon-based oxygen breathers. The humans accepted water but nothing else, which was probably wise given biochemical incompatibility. So, Torvin said once they were seated, tell me about Earth. Your translators are working, but we have no records of your world or your species. How is that possible? Rebecca took a drink of water, clearly buying time to formulate her response. We're from a distant spiral arm, Admiral, very distant. Until our drive malfunctioned, we had no idea there was a galactic civilization out here. We've been developing in isolation for our entire history. That's remarkable. How long have your people been spacefaring? 4 generations, about 80 years by your time measurements. Torvin's scales rippled with shock. 80 years. The Empire had been traveling between stars for 3,000 years, and they still hadn't achieved some of the technology visible on the human ship. How could such a young space program develop so quickly? That seems very fast, he said carefully. Necessity drives innovation, Rebecca replied. Our home system isn't very welcoming. We had to adapt quickly or die out. One of Torvin's aides brought up a star chart. Can you show us where you're from? Rebecca studied the map for several minutes. Her expression grew more troubled with each passing moment. I don't recognize anything. We're not just far from home. We're in a completely different part of the galaxy. According to our calculations based on stellar positioning, we might be 70,000 light years from Earth. The room fell silent. That distance was staggering. Even with the Empire's best ships using established jump gates, such a journey would take decades. How had these humans crossed it instantly, even by accident? Your propulsion system must be incredibly advanced, Torvin said. It's experimental and clearly unstable. Rebecca's jaw tightened. We have 240 crew members aboard the Defiance, Admiral. They all have families back home, friends, lives they expect to return to. We need to find a way back. Torvin heard the underlying message. These weren't explorers seeking adventure. They were soldiers and scientists who wanted to go home. That made them potentially more cooperative, but also more dangerous if they felt threatened. We'll help however we can, he said. But I need honesty from you, Captain. Your ship carries serious weaponry. Those aren't exploration tools. What is the Defiance's actual purpose? Rebecca met his eyes without flinching. Defense and research. We were testing the new drive system far from inhabited systems in case something went wrong. Obviously, that was a good precaution because something did go wrong. As for weapons, yes, we're armed. Space pirates exist in our region. Hostile aliens exist. We learned the hard way that traveling unarmed is suicide. You've encountered hostile species before. We've encountered everything, Admiral. Friendly aliens, hostile aliens, indifferent aliens, space phenomena that defy explanation, ancient automated defense systems. You name it, we've probably run into it or heard about it from other species. Torvin absorbed this. So humanity wasn't alone in their region. They were part of a local community of spacefaring species. That explained their rapid development. Competition and cooperation both drove innovation. I need to consult with my government, he said. The Empire has protocols for situations like this. We'll need to verify your story, study your technology enough to understand what happened, and determine the best way to help you return home. I understand, but Admiral, I need something from you too. Honesty. Are we guests or prisoners? The question hung in the air. Torvin appreciated the directness. So many species danced around difficult topics. Humans, it seemed, preferred clarity. Right now, you're guests. But Captain, you must understand our position. You appeared without warning using impossible technology. Your ship is heavily armed and clearly designed for combat. Your crew comes from a high-gravity death world that shouldn't support complex life. Everything about you is unprecedented and potentially threatening. We could say the same about you, Rebecca pointed out. From our perspective, we're stranded in unknown space surrounded by aliens with unknown intentions, but we're choosing to trust you. I hope you'll extend us the same courtesy. Torvin's scales shifted to a calmer green. Fair enough. Here's what I propose. Allow us to send a team of scientists to examine your propulsion system. Help us understand what happened. In exchange, we'll share our star charts and astronomical data. Maybe together we can figure out how to get you home. Rebecca considered this. Our technology is classified, but given our situation, I can authorize limited access. However, Admiral, I need your word that you'll treat my crew with respect. No confinement, no interrogation. We cooperate as equals or not at all. You're in no position to make demands, Captain. Aren't I? Rebecca's expression hardened. You want to know about our technology. You want to understand our capabilities. You want to make sure we're not a threat. All of that requires our cooperation. You can't force it, Admiral. You can ask for it. Torvin realized he was dealing with someone who understood leverage. Despite being stranded and outnumbered, this human captain wasn't going to simply surrender to circumstances. She was negotiating from a position of confidence that suggested either remarkable courage or hidden advantages. Very well, he said. You have my word as an officer of the Imperial Fleet. Your crew will be treated as guests, but I expect the same respect for my people. Agreed. Rebecca extended her hand again. This time Torvin understood it was a gesture of agreement. He touched her hand briefly, surprised by the strength in her grip. I'll arrange quarters for you on the station, he said, and I'll present your situation to the High Council. With luck, we'll find a solution that benefits everyone. As the humans prepared to leave, Torvin's communication officer signaled urgently. The message was brief but concerning. 3 more Imperial ships had arrived in the system, not reinforcements he had requested. These belonged to General Cavros of the Fifth Fleet. Cavros, who believed the Empire should claim any new technology by force rather than negotiation. Torvin's scales darkened to worried purple. The situation had just become much more complicated. General Cavros arrived like a storm. His fleet dropped out of warp space with weapons already charged, forming a blockade around the human vessel. Torvin received the message before he could even brief Rebecca on the situation. Admiral Torvin, stand aside. By order of the Imperial Security Council, I am assuming command of this first contact situation. Torvin's scales flashed angry red. General, there are proper protocols. The humans have agreed to cooperate. There's no need for this show of force. That's where you're wrong. Cavros appeared on the display screen, his reptilian features set in what passed for a sneer among his species. Unknown vessel, unknown technology, unknown capabilities. We don't negotiate with potential threats. We contain them. Rebecca stood beside Torvin, watching the exchange. Her expression revealed nothing, but he noticed her crew members had subtly shifted their stances, ready for trouble without appearing aggressive. More of that combat awareness. General, Rebecca said calmly, we've already agreed to share information with Admiral Torvin. There's no need for confrontation. Cavros focused on her for the first time. His eyes narrowed. You don't make demands here, human. Your ship will be boarded. Your crew will be confined. Your technology will be examined by Imperial scientists. Resist and you will be destroyed. Those are your only options. Those seem like poor options, Rebecca observed. I'd like to suggest a third one. You back down, we continue our peaceful cooperation with Admiral Torvin, and nobody does something they'll regret. Is that a threat? It's a fact. General, you're assuming you hold all the advantages because you have more ships. That assumption might be incorrect. Cavros laughed. It sounded like rocks grinding together. You're surrounded, outgunned. Your reactor signatures show you can't even jump away with your damaged systems. What possible advantage could you have? The advantage of knowing what my ship can do, Rebecca said, while you're making assumptions. Torvin watched the exchange with growing dread. He'd seen Cavros operate before. The general believed in overwhelming force and asking questions later. That approach worked against pirates and minor threats. Against an unknown vessel with unidentified weapons, it could be catastrophic. Captain Walsh, Torvin said quietly, please don't escalate this. Give us time to work through proper channels. I appreciate that, Admiral, but your general seems determined to create a situation nobody wants. She tapped a small device on her wrist. Defiance, this is Walsh. Condition yellow, all defensive protocols active. On the displays, the human ship seemed to wake up. Energy signatures spiked. What Imperial sensors had identified as sensor arrays rotated into new positions. Ports opened along the hull, revealing systems that looked nothing like standard weapons, but radiated enough power to make Torvin's tactical officer gasp. What is that? The officer whispered. Those are rail guns, Rebecca said. Magnetic acceleration weapons, and plasma batteries, and point defense lasers, and kinetic interceptors, and a few other systems you probably don't have in your database. Cavros appeared unmoved. Weapons are useless if you're destroyed before you can fire them. I have 12 ships to your one. Surrender now or be eliminated. General, those 12 ships use fusion reactors and particle shields based on magnetic field technology. I can see that from here. Our weapons are designed to counter exactly that combination. Do you really want to test which engineering approach is superior? For the first time, Cavros hesitated. Torvin saw it in the slight pause, the way his eyes flicked to his tactical displays. The general was realizing he might have made an error. You're bluffing, Cavros said, but there was less certainty in his voice. Am I? Admiral Torvin, what did your sensor analysis say about our hull composition? Torvin checked his data. Unknown alloy, extremely dense, possibly layered with additional defensive systems we couldn't identify. Carbon ceramic composite with reactive armor plating, Rebecca explained. Designed to disperse energy weapons and deflect kinetic impacts. Our shields are different from yours too. Not magnetic fields, something else. Want to guess what happens when your particle beams hit them? The silence stretched. Torvin saw the calculation happening behind Cavros's eyes. A rational commander would back down, reassess, approach differently. But Cavros had built his reputation on aggressive action. I don't believe you, the general said. Target their reactor, disable them. Don't, Torvin warned. General, I strongly advise against hostile action. But Cavros had already given the order. 2 of his ships opened fire. Particle beams lanced across space, brilliant blue streams of contained energy that could crack a planetoid. The beam struck the Defiance's shields and stopped, not deflected, not absorbed, simply stopped as if they'd hit something solid. Refractive shielding, Rebecca said conversationally. Based on principles your scientists probably haven't discovered yet, energy weapons are largely ineffective. Would you like to continue this experiment? Cavros's face darkened. All ships full barrage overwhelmed their defenses. This is a mistake, Torvin said, but nobody was listening to him anymore. 12 Imperial warships opened fire simultaneously. The space around the Defiance lit up with enough energy to glass a continent. Particle beams, plasma torpedoes, and kinetic missiles converged on the human vessel from every direction. The light show was spectacular. The results were not what Cavros expected. Every shot either stopped at the shields or missed entirely as the Defiance's point defense systems proved terrifyingly accurate. Missiles exploded kilometers away from their target. Energy beams scattered harmlessly. The human ship sat in the middle of the firestorm, completely untouched. Then it fired back. A single shot from one of the rail guns. A slug of dense metal accelerated to a significant percentage of light speed. It crossed the distance to the nearest Imperial ship in less than a second. The magnetic shields might as well have not existed. The projectile punched through them like they were paper. It hit the ship's hull, not the reactor or any critical system, but a non-essential section near the crew quarters. The impact created a hole 20 meters wide and sent the entire vessel spinning. "That was a warning shot," Rebecca said. "It missed everything important on purpose. The next one won't." Cavros stared at his screens. One shot, one damaged ship, and the human vessel had dozens of those weapons, all of them now tracking different Imperial ships with terrifying precision. "Cease fire," Torvin ordered using his override authority. "All ships cease fire immediately." "Admiral, you don't have the authority," Cavros began. "I have the authority to prevent a massacre. Captain Walsh just demonstrated that she could destroy your entire fleet before you landed another shot. She chose not to. I suggest you appreciate that restraint before she changes her mind." Rebecca's expression remained neutral. "General Cavros, I don't want to fight you. I don't want to damage your ships or harm your crews, but I will protect my people. Stand down. Let us continue peaceful negotiations with Admiral Torvin, and everyone goes home safely. Keep attacking, and you'll learn exactly why humans put this much armor on a research vessel." Torvin could see the war happening behind Cavros's eyes. Pride versus survival. Aggression versus tactical wisdom. The general was a warrior, but he wasn't stupid. "This isn't over," Cavros said finally. "The Council will hear about this. You've threatened Imperial ships, damaged an Imperial vessel. There will be consequences." "I defended myself against unprovoked attack," Rebecca countered. "Your sensors recorded everything. They'll show who fired first. I'm willing to let it go as a misunderstanding if you are." Cavros killed the connection without responding. His ships held position but stopped firing. The standoff continued, but at least nobody was shooting anymore. Torvin turned to Rebecca. "That was dangerously close to starting a war." "I know, I'm sorry it came to that, but Admiral, you need to understand something. My crew comes from a world where everything is trying to kill us. Weather, geology, native life, other humans historically. We survived by being tougher and smarter than our problems. Your general just became a problem. I solved it the only way I know how. Overwhelming response to establish deterrence. You could have killed them all. But I didn't. That should count for something." Torvin's scales shifted through several colors as he processed conflicting emotions. Fear, respect, concern, curiosity. "It does," he said finally. "But Cavros was right about one thing. The Council needs to know about this. All of it. And Captain, I'm not sure they're going to react the way you hope." The Imperial High Council met in emergency session 3 hours after the confrontation. 15 species, 47 delegates, all gathering virtually to discuss the human problem. Torvin presented the facts as clearly as possible. Rebecca sat beside him, aware that her entire crew's fate hung on what happened in the next few hours. Counselor Draven, a towering insectoid being, spoke first. "Let me understand this correctly. A single unknown vessel appeared without warning, disabled one of our warships in a single shot, and threatened to destroy an entire battle group. The human captain fired in self-defense after General Cavros initiated hostile action," Torvin clarified. "And she specifically avoided causing casualties. That shows remarkable restraint." Or remarkable arrogance, another counselor interjected. They clearly possess superior military technology. Why should we believe they come in peace? Rebecca leaned forward. Counselors, if we wanted to be hostile, we wouldn't have answered your hails. We wouldn't have met face to face. We would have simply jumped away or defended ourselves to the fullest extent. We're here because we need help, not because we want conflict. Help returning home, Counselor Draven noted, which means helping you return to your territory with full knowledge of our location, our capabilities, and our vulnerabilities. How do we know you won't return with an invasion fleet? The question hung in the chamber. Rebecca took a breath, choosing her words carefully. Because humans don't work that way. Yes, we're armed. Yes, we can fight, but we're also practical. Counselor, my homeworld is 70,000 light years from here. Even with our fastest ships, that journey would take decades. We don't have the resources or the interest in crossing the galaxy to fight species we just met. We have enough problems in our own neighborhood. Such as, another delegate asked. 3 species in our region are openly hostile. 2 more are unpredictable. We're dealing with territorial disputes, resource conflicts, and the occasional attempt at conquest, plus the normal challenges of space exploration, deadly phenomena, unmapped hazards, the usual. A murmur rippled through the council. The casual way Rebecca described interstellar warfare and cosmic dangers suggested a very different perspective than most peaceful species. Your region sounds violent, Draven observed. It's competitive. Species either adapt and thrive or they fade away. We chose to thrive. Torvin watched the council process this. They were seeing what he had already realized. Humans came from a rougher part of the galaxy. They developed in an environment where strength mattered more than diplomacy. That made them dangerous, yes, but also potentially valuable. I have a proposal, Torvin said. Allow the humans to work with our scientists, study their propulsion failure, help them repair their systems. In exchange, we establish formal diplomatic relations, share knowledge, create mutual understanding. Absolutely not, Cavros's voice cut through the chamber. The general had joined the session remotely. These humans are a threat. We should confiscate their technology, detain their crew, and prevent them from ever returning to their space with intelligence about us. Rebecca's expression hardened. You tried that approach, General. It didn't work out well for you. Because we showed restraint, that won't happen again. Neither will your sneak attack, Rebecca shot back. My ship's defensive systems are now calibrated to your weapons. You won't get even that close a second time. The council chamber erupted in heated discussion. Torvin saw it spinning out of control. Different factions arguing different positions. Hawks like Cavros demanding aggression. Doves wanting peaceful resolution. Scientists wanting access to human technology regardless of political concerns. Then Counselor Draven raised a manipulator limb for silence. Captain Walsh, I have a question. You claim your weapons are superior to ours. Your shields clearly outmatch our defensive capabilities. If you're so advanced, why do you need our help at all? It was a trap question. Rebecca recognized it immediately. Torvin could see her calculating the response. Because we're good at different things, she said finally. Humans excel at weapons development and defensive technology. We've had to, given our circumstances. But navigation, astronomy, peaceful exploration, those are areas where we're still learning. Your star charts are far more comprehensive than ours. Your knowledge of this region is obviously superior. We need that information to get home. And if we refuse to help, then we'll figure it out ourselves. It'll take longer, and we'll be stranded in your space for months or years instead of weeks. But we'll manage. Humans are good at surviving impossible situations. Draven's compound eyes studied her. That's not a threat. It's a fact, but Counselor, consider the alternative. Help us get home quickly and we leave with positive impressions of the Empire. We establish friendly relations. Maybe we even trade information or technology. Refuse to help, and at best we eventually leave with neutral feelings. At worst, you create an enemy where you could have had a friend. Friendship requires trust, Draven said. You've demonstrated superior weapons but claim peaceful intentions. Actions must prove words. Rebecca nodded slowly. What kind of demonstration did you have in mind? Your weapons disabled one of our ships. Show us you can create as well as destroy. Use your technology to help us with something. Prove that cooperation benefits both our peoples. It was surprisingly wise, Torvin thought. Give the humans a chance to demonstrate peaceful application of their capabilities while also revealing more about their technology. Win-win for the Empire. Rebecca considered this. We'd need specifics. What kind of help are you asking for? Draven consulted with other counselors briefly. We have mining operations in the asteroid belt of this system. One station has been dealing with structural instabilities that our engineers haven't solved. The dense metallic composition of the asteroids interferes with our cutting and stabilization equipment. Can your technology address this? Torvin saw Rebecca's eyes light up slightly. Probably. Our mining equipment is designed for high-density materials, but I'd want this to be a collaborative effort. Your engineers work with mine. Knowledge exchange, not just free service. Acceptable, Draven agreed. You have 48 hours. Solve our mining problem, demonstrate peaceful cooperation, and we'll discuss long-term assistance with your journey home. As the council session ended, Torvin pulled Rebecca aside. That was clever. Draven just gave you a chance to prove yourselves and buy time. I know, but Admiral, there's something you should understand. We're not just going to fix their mining problem. We're going to revolutionize it. When humans demonstrate capability, we don't do it halfway. Is that wise? Showing the full extent of your technology. Rebecca smiled, that teeth-showing expression again. We're not showing everything. Just enough to make cooperation more attractive than confrontation. It's basic diplomacy. Make yourself valuable enough that people want you as an ally rather than an enemy. 40 hours later, the mining station reported production increases of 300%. Human drilling equipment cut through dense asteroids like they were soft clay. Precision tools reshaped material with minimal waste. Stabilization fields prevented structural collapse using principles Imperial scientists were already scrambling to understand. More importantly, human crew members worked alongside Imperial engineers, sharing techniques, answering questions, and building genuine professional relationships. The transformation from potential enemies to collaborative partners happened naturally through shared work. Counselor Draven reviewed the reports with obvious satisfaction. Impressive. Your people are as skilled as you claimed. We're motivated, Rebecca said. Cooperation gets us home faster. Seems like a good incentive. Indeed. The Council has voted. We'll provide full assistance in repairing your drive systems and plotting your course home. In exchange, we ask for continued cooperation and the establishment of formal diplomatic channels between your government and ours. I'll need to contact my superiors back home, but I'm confident they'll agree. Earth is always interested in making new friends. Torvin watched the agreement take shape and felt relief wash over him. Crisis averted, war prevented, new alliance formed, exactly the kind of outcome he'd hoped for. But in the back of his mind, a question nagged at him. If this was what a single human ship could do by accident, what would happen when humanity arrived intentionally? The galaxy, he suspected, was about to become a much more interesting place. 3 weeks into the repair process, Torvin found himself sharing a meal with Rebecca in the observation deck of Outpost Meridian. It had become something of a routine. They would discuss the day's progress, share stories about their respective peoples, and slowly build the kind of understanding that couldn't come from official reports. Your engineers are brilliant, Rebecca said. watching Imperial technicians work on the Defiance through the viewport. They adapted to our systems faster than I expected. Your crew are excellent teachers, patient, thorough, not what I expected from a military culture. Torvin sipped his nutrient solution. Tell me about Earth. Really tell me, not the diplomatic version. Rebecca leaned back in her chair. What do you want to know? Everything. How did a species from a high-gravity death world develop such advanced technology so quickly? The Empire has been spacefaring for 3,000 years. You've managed comparable achievements in less than a century. Necessity and competition, Rebecca said. Earth isn't just high gravity, it's geologically active, extreme weather, temperature ranges that would kill most species. We didn't evolve to be comfortable, we evolved to survive. That explains your durability, not your innovation. Rebecca smiled. When your environment is constantly trying to kill you, you get creative. Early humans developed tools not for convenience but for survival. Fire wasn't a luxury. It was the difference between freezing and living. Shelter wasn't comfort. It was protection from predators. Every advancement came from solving life-or-death problems. And that mindset carried into space exploration. Absolutely. Our first space stations nearly killed everyone aboard multiple times. Life support failures, radiation exposure, structural problems. We lost people, learned from mistakes, improved systems. Every setback taught us something. Torvin noticed she spoke about death casually, without the emotional weight most species attach to loss. You seem remarkably comfortable with the idea of dying. Not comfortable, realistic. Humans understand that exploration has costs. We accept that because staying safe and stagnant is its own kind of death. She paused. Admiral, can I ask you something personal? Of course. The Empire has existed for 3 millennia. You've explored most of the galaxy. You've achieved stability and peace. But when was the last time you really pushed boundaries, tried something risky and new? The question hit harder than Torvin expected. We conduct research, we explore new systems. Using established methods and proven technology. When did you last attempt something that might fail spectacularly? Torvin considered this. The Empire values safety and certainty. We've learned that reckless innovation causes more problems than it solves. Or maybe you've learned to avoid problems by avoiding risks. There's a difference. Rebecca's tone wasn't judgmental, just observational. Humans can't afford that luxury. We live in a dangerous region. Our neighbors include species that would conquer us if we showed weakness. We have to innovate constantly just to survive. That sounds exhausting. It is, but it's also exciting. Every generation of humans does something no previous generation accomplished. My grandmother lived on Earth. My mother served on the first colony ship to another star system. I'm commanding a vessel that accidentally jumped 70,000 light years. Who knows what my children will do? You have children. Not yet, but I plan to. Most of my crew does. That's part of why getting home matters so much. We have futures waiting for us. Torvin felt something shift in his understanding. These weren't just skilled warriors or brilliant scientists. They were people with families and hopes and dreams. The realization made them simultaneously more relatable and more admirable. The Council is debating something, he said carefully. Some members want to establish a permanent embassy in your territory, open formal trade and cultural exchange. We'd welcome that, but you should know the region we're from isn't like Imperial space. It's rougher, more dangerous. Your people would need to adapt. We're capable of adaptation. Are you, though? Rebecca's challenge was gentle but real. Admiral, with respect, the Empire has been successful for so long that you've forgotten how to struggle. Your technology is refined but stagnant. Your society is peaceful but risk-averse. Meeting humans might be the best thing that ever happened to you, but only if you're willing to step outside your comfort zone. Before Torvin could respond, His communication device chimed urgently. The signal was from deep space sensors. His scales shifted to alert yellow as he read the message. "What's wrong?" Rebecca asked. Long-range sensors detected something. A fleet, approaching from the direction of the galactic core. Imperial ships. No, the configuration is unknown, and they're not responding to hails. Rebecca stood immediately. How many ships? 43, all heavily armed. They'll reach our position in 6 hours. Within minutes, they were in the command center. The display showed the approaching fleet in detail. The vessels were organic-looking, grown rather than built. Energy signatures suggested biological reactors, weapons that might be living organisms rather than mechanical systems. "Do you recognize them?" Rebecca asked. Torvin's scales had gone pale gray. Harvesters, a nomadic species that strips systems of resources and moves on. We thought we'd driven them out of this sector decades ago. Why are they here? Rich asteroid belt, valuable minerals. They don't care about established claims. They take what they want and destroy anything in their path. Rebecca studied the tactical display. Your fleet can't stop them. We have 12 ships in range. They have 43. The math doesn't favor us. What about evacuation? The mining station has 4,000 workers. We can't evacuate that many people in 6 hours, not with available transport. Rebecca's expression hardened into something Torvin recognized, the look of a commander making difficult decisions. "Admiral, I have a proposal. My ship is repaired enough to fight. Not jump away, but fight. Let us help defend the station." "Captain, this isn't your fight. You should use this time to finish repairs and leave." "And go where? If we run now, we look like cowards. Worse, we abandon allies to save ourselves. That's not how humans operate." She tapped her communication device. "Defiance, this is Walsh. Battle stations. All weapons systems to full combat readiness." "Captain, one ship against 43 is suicide." "Maybe, or maybe it's exactly what you need. Admiral, you've seen what our weapons can do. You've seen our defensive capabilities. We're not some fragile explorer ship. We're a combat-ready vessel designed to survive in the worst conditions imaginable. Let us prove that cooperation works. Let us show the galaxy what humans and the Empire can do together." Torvin looked at her. This small human from a distant death world, volunteering to risk her life and her crew for people she'd known for less than a month. It was either the bravest or most foolish thing he'd ever witnessed. "Your crew agrees with this." "I haven't asked them yet, but I know what they'll say. We don't abandon people in trouble, ever." Torvin made his decision. "Very well, Captain. I'm authorizing combined operations. Your ship and our fleet will engage the harvesters together. But Captain, if things go wrong, I want your word that you'll retreat. Your crew needs to get home." Rebecca nodded. "If things go wrong, we retreat. But Admiral, things aren't going to go wrong, I promise you that." As she left to brief her crew, Torvin watched the approaching harvester fleet on the displays. He'd commanded forces in dozens of engagements over his career. He'd won more battles than he'd lost, but he'd never felt simultaneously this terrified and this hopeful. The harvesters were about to learn what the Empire had discovered. Humans were dangerous when threatened. They were absolutely terrifying when defending others. The harvester fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel like a swarm of insects. Their bioships pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, communication signals that doubled as psychological warfare. They'd used the same tactic on 100 systems. Arrive in overwhelming numbers, broadcast domination, and watch defenders flee. The Imperial fleet didn't flee. Neither did the single human vessel positioned at the center of their formation. Rebecca stood in the Defiance's command center studying tactical displays. Her crew worked with practiced efficiency around her. No panic, no fear, just professionals doing their jobs. "Range?" she asked. 3 million kilometers and closing. Lieutenant Davis reported. "They're spreading into attack formation. Looks like they plan to surround us." "Let them think they can." Rebecca opened a channel to Torvin's flagship. "Admiral, remember the plan. Hold fire until they're committed. Let them think we're easy prey." "Understood, Captain, though I confess this goes against every tactical instinct I have. Trust me, predators get sloppy when they think they're hunting weak prey." The harvesters continued their approach. At 1 million kilometers they opened fire. Biological projectiles and energy weapons designed to overwhelm shields through sheer volume. It was impressive. It was also predictable. "Shields holding at 98%, Davis reported. "Their weapons are optimized for Imperial defensive systems. They're not penetrating our refractive shielding at all." Rebecca smiled. "Good, return fire, precision targeting, disable, don't destroy. Show them what accuracy looks like." The Defiance's rail guns spoke. 6 shots, 6 different targets. Each projectile found its mark with surgical precision. Weapon systems exploded. Propulsion units failed. Bioships tumbled out of formation, crippled but salvageable. The harvester fleet's attack faltered. Confusion rippled through their ranks. This wasn't how prey responded. "Imperial fleet now," Rebecca commanded. Torvin's ships had used the time wisely. They'd studied the harvester weapons during the initial exchange, adapted shield frequencies, repositioned for maximum advantage. When they fired, it was with coordinated precision that would have made any military academy proud. The battle turned into a lesson. The harvesters had numbers and ferocity. The defenders had strategy and technology. More importantly, they had something the nomadic species hadn't encountered before. Humans who fought not for territory or resources, but for protection of innocence. Rebecca watched her tactical display like a chess master reading a board. "They're trying to flank us. Davis, redirect point defense to sectors 4 and 7. Show them that angle is covered." The Defiance's defensive systems created a wall of destruction. Missiles detonated harmlessly. Biological projectiles dissolved under concentrated laser fire. Every attack was countered before it could pose a threat. "Captain, they're trying to withdraw," Davis reported. "Let them, but disable their weapons first. I want them running away toothless, not regrouping for another attack." 20 more shots. 20 more disabled harvester ships. The remaining vessels fled at maximum speed, abandoning their crippled companions and any pretense of dominance. Total engagement time, 17 minutes. Imperial casualties, 0. Human casualties, 0. Harvester fleet, broken and retreating. In the aftermath, Torvin's face appeared on Rebecca's display. His scales had shifted through so many colors during the battle that he looked like a rainbow. "Captain Walsh, that was the most impressive display of tactical coordination I've ever witnessed." "Team effort, Admiral. Your people adapted beautifully, quick learners." "We had excellent teachers." Torvin paused. "The Council is going to want a full report. This changes everything." Rebecca understood what he meant. The Empire had just learned that cooperation with humans provided capabilities they'd never possessed alone. That lesson would reshape galactic politics. Over the next week, repairs on the Defiance reached completion. Imperial and human engineers had worked together so closely that the final result incorporated both technological approaches. The ship's propulsion system now included Imperial navigation components. Its defensive systems carried Empire-designed backup protocols. It was a hybrid, a symbol of what cooperation could achieve. Rebecca found Torvin in his quarters on the last evening before departure. "Thought you might want to share one more meal before we leave." "I'd like that very much." Torvin gestured to the table where he'd prepared foods compatible with human biochemistry. "I've been researching Earth cuisine. Apparently you have thousands of different food preparation styles." "We're creative when it comes to eating. comes from having a diverse planet with varied environments. Rebecca sampled something that approximated bread. Not bad, Admiral. You've got talent. They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Finally, Torvin spoke. I'm going to miss these conversations. You've taught me more about leadership and courage in a few weeks than I learned in decades of military service. You taught me patience and wisdom, and that not every problem requires a combat solution. Rebecca set down her utensils. Admiral, I want you to know something. When we get back to Earth, I'm recommending full alliance with the Empire. Not just trade, not just diplomacy, real partnership. The Council has already approved the same from our side. Your government will receive our formal proposal within days of your return. Then I guess this is the beginning of something important. The beginning of humanity's introduction to galactic civilization. Torvin's scales shifted to pleased blue. I suspect the galaxy will never be quite the same. Is that good or bad? Both, probably. You'll shake things up. Challenge established norms. Force species like mine to remember what it means to take risks and push boundaries. It will be uncomfortable and necessary. Rebecca raised her glass in the human gesture of toasting, to new friendships and uncertain futures. Torvin mimicked the gesture, to cooperation and shared growth. The next morning, the Defiance prepared for departure. 4,000 mining station workers lined the observation decks, watching the ship that had saved their lives. Imperial vessels formed an honor guard. It was a send-off worthy of heroes. Rebecca stood on her bridge watching the preparations. Her crew was ready. Her ship was ready. The journey home would take weeks even with Imperial star charts, but they'd make it. They were survivors. That's what humans did. All systems green, Captain, Davis reported. Navigation locked on course. We're ready to jump. One moment. Rebecca opened a final channel to Torvin. Admiral, take care of yourself. And when we return with the diplomatic mission, save some of that terrible bread for me. Torvin's laugh came through clearly. It will be waiting. Safe travels, Captain Walsh. May the stars guide you home. And may they guide our peoples together. Defiance out. The ship's drives powered up. Space bent around the vessel as it prepared to jump. In the moment before departure, Rebecca looked at Earth's coordinates on her display. Home, family, a future that now included friends scattered across 70,000 light-years. The Defiance jumped, leaving Imperial space with a flash of light and a promise of return. 3 months later, the ship entered Earth's solar system. Humanity's home looked exactly as Rebecca remembered it. Beautiful, chaotic, dangerous, perfect. Her crew cheered. Some cried. Others just stared at their homeworld with expressions of relief and joy. They'd made it. Against impossible odds across unimaginable distances, they'd found their way home. But they hadn't returned alone. They brought with them knowledge of a vast galactic civilization, star charts, technology, and most importantly, friendship with species who'd chosen cooperation over conquest. The United Earth government received Rebecca's report with stunned silence, then growing excitement. First contact, alliance, an invitation to join the greater galactic community. It was everything humanity had hoped for since first reaching for the stars. Within a year, Earth's first official embassy opened in Imperial space. Within 2 years, human ships were regular visitors to dozens of Imperial worlds. Within 5 years, joint human-Imperial research stations were producing innovations that benefited both civilizations. Admiral Torvin, promoted to Special Envoy for Human Affairs, visited Earth exactly 2 years after the Defiance's return. He stood on the observation deck of the United Earth Assembly, looking down at the blue-green planet that had produced such remarkable people. Rebecca found him there. Beautiful, isn't it? Terrifying, Torvin admitted. Hurricanes visible from orbit, tectonic plates grinding together, volcanic activity, radiation from an unstable star. How did your species survive here? By being stubborn and adaptable and refusing to accept that anything was impossible. Those traits are going to reshape the galaxy, you know. Already are. 3 species have approached the Empire about joint human-imperial cooperation projects. 2 others have requested cultural exchanges with Earth. You're forcing everyone to rethink what's possible. Good. The universe is too big and too strange to settle for comfortable stagnation. Torvin's scales shifted to warm gold. I'm glad our ships crossed paths that day. The Empire needed to remember how to dream. Humans needed to learn they weren't alone. Both our peoples are better for the meeting. Agreed, so what's next? Next, we explore together, learn together, face whatever challenges the universe throws at us together. Isn't that what allies do? Rebecca smiled and looked out at Earth, her homeworld, the death world that had forged a species capable of bridging the stars and building friendships across impossible distances. Yes, Admiral, that's exactly what allies do. And somewhere in the vastness of space, more human ships were launching. More explorers were heading into the unknown. More bridges were being built between species that might never have met. The galaxy had been a big place for a very long time. Now it was getting smaller, more connected, and infinitely more interesting. Humanity had arrived, not as conquerors but as partners, and the universe would never be quite the same.